Welcome to Speak for Yourself. Marcellus Wiley. Emmanuel.
Brother, good to see you.
Acho. I gave you some dap on Instagram. Did you check it out?
I didn't.
Damn it. I'm with the Masters. All right, let's get to our top story right now, where former Browns head coach Hue Jackson has accused the team of having a 4-year plan to incentivize him to lose games back in the 2016 and 2017 seasons. This follows former Dolphins head coach Brian Flores' claim in his lawsuit that said Miami's owner Stephen Ross attempted to incentivize him to lose games on purpose and even offered $100,000 per loss back in 2019. Dolphins and Browns have both denied the claim. So, Acho, how serious are Hue Jackson and Brian Flores' tanking allegations?
If true, this is the biggest integrity issue we've seen in sports since the Pete Rose issue of gambling while a manager. If true, these allegations of tanking is the biggest issue we have seen in sports as it pertains to integrity over the last 30 or so years. What makes the NFL work, what makes the NFL run, the ecosystem of the NFL, which Marcellus Wiley always eloquently talks about, is the dollars. Dollars in, dollars out. But the reason dollars come in at such a high rate is because the NFL is the highest level of ball. Higher than the Canadian Football League, higher than the USFL, higher than the Arena Football League, higher than all other leagues is the NFL, because the NFL is the best of the best playing their best. But if they're no longer playing their best, then now it's just the best of the best out there losing? No, that ruins the integrity of the sport. The reason the sport is the greatest sport is because parity, because of integrity, because of what we're striving for, and equality. There's never equality, but you strive for it. You strive for parity. If you are the best team in the NFL, you draft last. If you are the worst team in the NFL, you draft first, because we're trying to attain and achieve parity in the NFL. But if you got guys tanking, that's the equivalent to insider trading. Y'all know insider trading. Insider trading is, hey, give me a little bit of inside information and I can dictate my dollars spent based upon how I know something is going to occur.
Martha.
Tanking is, I'm going to give you some money and be on the inside of pre-knowing what is going to occur later on. It's the same thing. It's paying a sum or being rewarded based on some insider information. The difference is the owners are the ones dictating what is going on the inside. So it's no small deal, and this is why it's the biggest deal. The Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl this year, but they were a 2-win team just 2 years ago. Imagine if the owner of the Bengals was like, hey, Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow's coming off a catastrophic knee injury just a year ago. Clearly, we're not going to be able to compete this year. Lamar Jackson, he's a beast. Patrick Mahomes, he's a beast. Justin Herbert, he threw 31 touchdown passes last year. Josh Allen was the MVP runner-up. Just tank this season, big dog. I'll give you $100,000 per loss. We would have been robbed of the Bengals' excellence. We would have been robbed of Joe Burrow's excellence. We would have been robbed of the best football team in the AFC had the Bengals chose to tank. Because who knows how good the Bengals were going to be. When Stephen Ross was offering Brian Flores $100,000 per the allegations to tank, that was a 10-win Dolphins team. How many wins did the Bengals have this year? Oh, I'll wait.
Let's go.
10 wins. Who knows if Brian Flores would have snuck into the playoffs 2 years ago? Remember, they were one spot out. If they would have snuck into the playoffs, what kind of noise they would have made. But had he tanked, we never would have found out. So with that being said, tanking is a huge issue, and we got to talk about it.
Oh, man, these allegations from Hue Jackson, my guy, Dorsey High School, DDP as they call it out here in L.A., and Brian Flores, who I have respect for. Unfortunately, I don't think these allegations are serious. And I don't think that people are taking them seriously because people are skeptical of these allegations. Let's just be real about this. These allegations come from Brian Flores in a machine gun capacity, like 58 pages of allegations, which include this. And then with Hue Jackson, it comes out as a quote tweet. I'm going to say it again. While my man Brian Flores is lawyered up, spending that retainer, spending that dough, My man Hue Jackson at the crib like the Clips with Pharrell, like, yeah, me too. Mr. Me Too. Like, that happened to me as well. That's not how it goes out. First of all, I love that song. I know, yeah, me too. A quote tweet? Something this serious comes out as a quote tweet? Come on, dog. They say the way you go in is the way you coming out. So the way we gonna figure this out is we gonna go into how this even became an issue. A quote tweet? I'm not trying to condemn Hue Jackson because I don't know if it's true or not. But I think this is a situation where there's a lot more smoke than actual fire. Let's talk about the fire. Man, tanking doesn't work. It doesn't work. Tanking, let's just talk about the steps to tank. Upstairs in ownership, executive level, philosophically, we're going to tank. All right, yeah, we ain't going to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get the worst roster construction possible. All right, that's cool. And then you're going to go talk to Brian Flores or you're going to talk to Hue Jackson. Hey, we got a little package over here. We got a little something incentive, 100,000 or whatever it may be. And then they're like, oh, interesting. But you know where it stops? Right there. Because Marcellus Wiley, I talked about myself in that person, is getting 10 sacks. I don't give a damn what play you call, coach. See color, hit color. That's what I'm about to do on the field. So how does it materialize? Play one. Play two is, let's look through this and let's try to be lawyers up here. Hue, come on, man. We had a young team, and I know young teams, they can win, but we had a very young team. That's not an indictment on the organization saying that they want to tank. He said, we didn't even talk about winning and losing to year 3 and year 4. To me, that sounds like they gave you a pass the first 2 years. Like, bro, we ain't even going to trip until we get to year 3, and then let's see if this plan's working. I'm just trying to look at this and really see, one, how can it even materialize onto the field? And more importantly, even when you look at it in rhetoric, in language, you got to have some receipts, big dog. So far, I don't see them.
It's twofold. So how can it materialize? Sel brings up a good point. You can't get a player to actually go out there and tank.
In a non-guaranteed contract sport called football?
Do it. What you can do is not play the best player. The only time you can actually think of a tangible example of tanking, we got to go back to Doug Peterson's last game for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are out there playing with Jalen Hurts. Primetime television game. The Eagles, I don't believe they were winning, and Jalen Hurts was to some degree struggling. But then all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts gets pulled, and they play Nate Sudfeld. Now, I know Nate Sudfeld. Him and I crossed paths with the Eagles. I know him. I would see him. I would dap him up. But everybody was like, why is Nate Sudfeld in the game?
Get a look.
That was the time we were all like, are the Eagles tanking? Doug Peterson got heavily criticized. The whole decision got criticized because, wait a second now. Why did you pull Jalen Hurts, who was only 3 starts into his career at the time? He needed as many reps as he could get to throw in Nate Sudfeld, who had no burn all season long. And now you want to play him? That was quite a conspicuous decision right there.
You say.
So it is impossible to get a player to go out there and not play their best. I've never heard of that.
Right.
Not at least in my playing career and my covering of the sport. But you could not play the best player. That's the only thing that could happen really as it pertains to tanking. Now, where I draw my biggest issue, though, Sel, is...
With me or with this?
With this.
Okay.
I don't really take an issue with you.
Yeah.
The thought process with you is I co-sign. Hue Jackson is actually ruining some of the integrity of the lawsuit. Because Brian Flores came with, like you said, a 58-page, lawyered up, all receipts, New York Giants, Miami Dolphins, Denver Broncos, and then Hue Jackson... He did come with a quote tweet.
Yeah.
Now, he went on, I believe it was Sports Center yesterday, and he backed it up verbally. But Brian Flores really came with his homework, and Hue Jackson just said what he said. That's basically what he did. The problem is the NFL is supposed to be any given Sunday. Now, you know games on Thursdays and games on Saturdays now and games on Mondays and occasional games on Tuesdays. But it's any given Sunday. But if y'all tanking, it's no longer any given Sunday.
Okay.
It's just who paying the most to get his team the highest amount of draft picks. It goes back to undermining everything that fans watch for and that players work for. So if this is actually going down, it is a monumental issue. I'm not looking so much at Hue Jackson because you didn't come with enough receipts. I need more from you, Hue. You went 1-31, and now you're talking about, they was telling us to tank. No, I just think you're sorry. But you can prove us wrong. But Brian Flores, I'm looking into that.
Okay. I respect that. Producers, please take Hue Jackson's name off the bottom bar right here because we obviously, come on, Hue. Come on, son. Come on, son. Here we go. I'm not going to do that to my dog. I love Hue, but come on, son. I think it's bad. And I got to give you some credit, and we got to talk in a vacuum about what you're talking about. If this is true, that's how you led your take. If true take. Okay, let me give you the if true take before I give you the other take. If true take, this is very damning. You know why? Because the competitive integrity, the fabric of the game is that illusion, that perception, that reality that everybody out there is trying to get it with their muscles.
Yep, talk about it.
Everybody out there trying to get it with their muscles. And even the coaches will be the 12th man on the field if you will let them. And that's what we buy into, right? We buy into that illusion that is actually a reality, at least on the playing field. Now, on the sidelines, obviously there's a different level of impact on the playing field, but still an impact. Case in point, if our producers just walked out right now, yeah, the show gonna be different. We gonna talk, we gonna say something, but the show's gonna go in a different direction. So if true, I give you some credence, I give you some respect. Yeah, that is very damning. But I'm getting tired in this world that someone makes an accusation, allegation, and everyone like myself has to come on television and give the if true take. Because as a guy who's been falsely accused of things in my life before, somebody lied on YouTube before, Acho as well, minor, major, whatever it may be. Where are all the if not true takes? What if this is just some BS? Like, that's what I want to really explore as well. Now, I got to keep the balance. Just like in this lawsuit right here, there was a balance between a lot of conversation about hiring practices and racism, but also let's talk about the fact that the integrity of the game potentially was compromised. Brian Flores. And this is an unfortunate situation to be in because I'm about to depose him and he's not even here. But why didn't you admit this when you had the job? People would say, duh. Why didn't you admit this when you were up, when you were winning, when you were employed? You know, I noticed that when people are walking in their life's journey and they get to a dead end, and instead of saying they're lost with a T and taking their loss with two S's, they just want to blow up the spot. Jose Canseco style. Remember that? Remember everybody was, oh my God, that pariah, I would never be Jose Canseco. You look around, it's interesting when cats get to their dead end or they get to a place where they don't fully desire. Colin Kaepernick comes to mind. Say what you want about Colin Kaepernick, whether you support him or you don't support him. He took a knee after he got benched, which distorted the signal of what he was trying to say. And it shouldn't, but everyone's going to always look at you with skepticism in that moment. So the allegations come out after the fact, which to me makes me question the credibility of them because you're telling me what Stephen Ross said. What did you say? My sister coined the phrase runner. You ever had this happen in your life? Somebody run up to you, Acho, guess what Marcel said? Guess what Marcel said? My sister called that person a runner. Because all they doing is recording what you say so they can take it back to me, so they can release it back to me. If you're in a conversation, you're over there wrestling with a pig, and you don't get dirt on you anywhere, no mud on you, stainless white linen? Really? All I want to know is keep it balanced. Stephen Ross offered you that. What did you do in return? And more importantly, why didn't this come out a little earlier than this?
That's a great point. That's why I like doing the show with you, because you make me think.
Just questions.
The only counter can be, Sal, you know when you are in the midst of something and both parties are benefiting. You like, it's all good. You benefiting, I'm benefiting.
Facts.
It's all good.
Yeah.
But the second we're both in a compromising position and you push me out into the middle of the street, all of a sudden it's like, wait a second now. We got to talk about what you was doing. Because Brian Flores gets fired not only prematurely, but he gets fired in his mind without merit or unlawfully, depending on how hard you want to go on Brian Flores' take. Brian Flores says, wait, I got fired 3 years into my 5-year deal because of poor collaboration. So if you want to cite poor collaboration for firing me, well, let's establish what could we not collaborate over.
Great point.
So what we couldn't collaborate over is the fact that you wanted me to throw games and I refused to throw games. So if you are going to fire me for poor collaboration, let me elaborate on what the collaboration was about.
Okay.
And I think that is where the rubber has met the road, because so often people will just say, yeah, well, me and him couldn't get along. Well, why couldn't we get along? I'm not just going to let you tell the side of the story of what we couldn't collaborate about. We couldn't collaborate about that you wanted me to do something illegal. It's kind of like, I think you've been in this conversation, but I've used this figure of speech. If you want to act funny, I can be a comedian. And I think that's what went down. Oh, Stephen Ross, you want to act funny? Oh, you want to act funny? I can be a comedian. If you want to fire me for poor collaboration and just kind of massage a loose general term, well, don't worry. I can tell them what we couldn't collaborate about. And what we couldn't collaborate about was the fact that you wanted me to do something that is unethical and illegal. So let's really talk about it. Let's really bring up these receipts.
That's a good counter. I mean, that's reality. And that's not me. That's not my character. That's not my heart. Look, Acho, we do a show together right now. I'm the co-host killer. I've done a show with 10 other people, it feels like, over my years in this business. And when they go on, if we have beef, we don't have beef, whatever it is, I protect the guilty. We did that together. Don't worry, Acho. You go on the greener pastures. Me and you stop talking. Something, you come at me sideways, whatever. You quote tweet me in a negative way. Guess what I'm not going to do? All of a sudden go through our group text. All of a sudden go through our text, say, hey, you remember when we used to get this together? We ain't getting this anymore. Look at you and who you are. It's crazy. You can abandon me and I still wouldn't out you like that because I was in there with you like that. It's kind of interesting that the signal to me is getting scrambled because it's not about what you're saying. It's when do you say it? It's just, it's crazy that people want to go retro when they're low. Is that some Jordans or some retro lows? I don't know. But they want to go retroactive and all of a sudden get out the negative receipts at their low point, which scrambles the signal to me.
I think it's because it's the final grenade, if you will.
Yeah, you're blowing up the spot.
Brian Flores is not in the position of power. He is, in theory, verbally owned by Stephen Ross. Stephen Ross is the owner. So Stephen Ross owns the players. In theory, he is the owner of the coach. He is the owner of the building. He is the owner of all things. So Brian Flores understands I am not in the maximal power position. So I can't use my big guns. But as soon as you want to sit here and use your power on me, then I have to throw the one grenade that I have to this situation, which is, wait a second, I am going to out you also. The reason why not in that moment? Think about it. Why not in the moment when it's happening? Like, if you were so wronged in that moment, why didn't you admit the wrong? Why didn't you bring light to the wrong? Because I think everything in life is risk reward. Yeah, you always got to weigh risk reward. So the risk in that moment is now you lose your job and you probably don't get hired again, because imagine what other owners are doing something similar. Maybe not the exact same thing.
We're in the same place as that.
Exactly. But now you risk losing your job, but you lose your job prematurely. Because why would you risk losing your job if you have no reason to think you're going to get fired? So if you're Brian Flores, I'm not going to say nothing because now I've ostracized myself from any other head coaching position when I currently have a job. But now that there is no risk because I'm unemployed, there's only reward. So if you're Brian Flores, you're looking at the situation. I have risk if I do it when I'm still employed because I could lose my job. Now that I've lost my job, there's no longer risk. To hell with it. I'm just going to go ahead and make this statement. While still going on interviews, the lawsuit comes out in New Orleans in an interview same day. What I'm trying to say is, how wrong was it? How wrong were you for allowing it to fester in conversation at minimum? And how wrong did you feel for you to continue on with that wrong feeling and only wait till you're at your low point for you to actually right that same wrong? I'm built different. Like, if you do something to me, Acho, we handling that right then and there, or it's handled. I'm not going to walk around here suppressing it and just holding this on Acho, standing in these shoes with that rock in it, talking about one day if Acho ever tries to depart me, I'm going to fire back at him. But that's not a lawsuit. It's not about how wild it feels. About what he can prove in the court of law. Coming up, Jim Harbaugh is staying at Michigan. I'm going to tell you if we have a problem with how the Vikings handled the head coaching job. You really helped me on that one. I appreciate you, Acho. But first, Matthew Stafford and Joe Burrow are headed to the Super Bowl. Would you do that to me, though? But we'll tell you which quarterback has more to gain next. Don't speak for yourself. Damn, has to be keeping receipts. Matthew Stafford and Joe Burrow will both be making their first trip to the Super Bowl in a little over a week. Stafford is a 13-year vet and can boost his Hall of Fame chances with a win. On the other side, Joe Burrow can make history as the only quarterback to win a national championship, Natty, Heisman Trophy, and a Super Bowl. So, Acho, who has more to gain in the Super Bowl, Matthew Stafford or Joe Burrow? I love this question. I can't wait to go back and forth on this one. Joe Burrow has more to gain because Joe Burrow can gain it sooner. Joe Burrow is kind of reverse engineering his Hall of Fame resume.
Yes.
What does Matthew Stafford have to gain? If Matthew Stafford wins a Super Bowl, he is a Hall of Famer. But I would submit if Joe Burrow wins a Super Bowl, he will be a Hall of Famer. With the exact same certainty that Matthew Stafford is a Hall of Famer if he wins a Super Bowl, I say that Joe Burrow will be a Hall of Famer if he wins a Super Bowl. Why? I'll give it to you in story form. Let's go back to college, 6 a.m. workouts.
Damn.
I know.
Breakfast Club?
I'm sorry, big dog.
Party up.
So 6 a.m. workouts. What was tougher for me was the running portion.
Okay.
Running portion. You got to do weights and you got to go out on the field and you got to grind. I'm in Texas heat. You're in northeastern cold. So either way, we suffering. Running was a harder part, but you can't complete the workout until you both run and you do weights. So you show up at 5:55, you get the crusties out your eyes, and the coach is like, all right, linebackers, outside. Woo, God, I got to go run first. But here's what I know. The workout ain't done until I run and I lift. But I would rather run first.
Yes.
Because that's the more difficult part. After I run, all I got to do is go inside, hit bench, hopefully 315 a couple times if it's a good day, hop on the squat rack, and we Gucci. Drink your muscle milkshakes, we out of there. What Joe Burrow is doing is what I would love to do if Burrow wins the Super Bowl. He's getting the hard part out the way first. He hitting that run on the field first. He doing them crawl before you walks first. What a crawl before you walks? You bear crawl 5 yards, you do 5 up downs. You bear crawl 5 yards, you do 5 up downs, the length of the field. Joe Burrow, by winning the Super Bowl, is getting the difficult part out first. Matthew Stafford already went to the weight room. Matthew Stafford has already won, 70, 80, 90 games. Matthew Stafford has already amassed the 15,000 yards. Matthew Stafford has already amassed the hundreds and hundreds of touchdowns, but he hasn't gone through the difficult part. He ain't gone onto the field yet and done the conditioning. Joe Burrow wins the Super Bowl. He done the conditioning. Now the rest of his career, all he got to do is the easy part. Lift the weights, drink a muscle milkshake, crack jokes with his homeboys, hit a couple abs, go back, do a couple bicep curls in the mirror, and then wait for the 8 o'clock bell to ring so he can go to class. Joe Burrow has more to gain because Joe Burrow would be getting the hard part of a Hall of Fame resume out the way. They're both playing to get into the Hall of Fame. Stafford clearly playing to eminently get into the Hall of Fame. But realistically speaking, Burrow's playing to get into the Hall of Fame. I'm just submitting he would be getting the hard part out the way first.
God, that was a tremendous. That's Mount Rushmore for me because you gave me post-traumatic stress. Come on. Wait a minute. There were a couple of things, though. I got a couple issues. Let me see how you lift weights again. It tells me a lot about your career. Why you lifting weights so casually? You better get up in there. You took the weightlifting portion off. That's your problem right here. All right, let's get to it. And at UT, they had bells? Like y'all had 8 o'clock bells? Tells me a lot about the academics at UT. What y'all in high school? Okay, here we go, Marcellus. You know damn well it's Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is going to be playing at SoFi, so he's not taking a trip to the Super Bowl. That's for Joe Burrow. He's staying at the same routine, in the same crib, at the same time, on the same bed. Now, what's going to happen when he wakes up? Oh, my God, Hall of Fame candidacy on the line. You talking about makeup. You talking about getting rid of all of your blemishes. You're talking about changing your entire perception instantly. That's what's going to happen for Matthew Stafford. You were accurate in saying, look, I think the Hall of Fame chances are parallel, like and congruent. Like, okay, if it happens for Stafford, he wins. It can happen for Joe Burrow just by being here, and it's certainly if he wins. There's a problem, though. You got to really look fine into the details. For Burrow, if he wins, it will be amazing. Just being here is amazing. Let's stop there. But it's also a setup. Let's be real. When you see a Dan Marino in the streets, when you see a Jim Kelly in the streets, instead of looking at the Super Bowl as something of amazing accomplishment for them, you know what they looked at that as? The butt of a joke. Like if you want to take a shot at Dan Marino, all you got to say is Super Bowl. That's the only way to bring him back down to earth. Same with Jim Kelly. If you walk up to Jim Kelly, he may not think that's so flattering when you speak of the Super Bowl. In your second year, you make it to a Super Bowl. That's not a guarantee of a Hall of Fame career. You want to know why? Kurt Warner did it. Tom Brady did it. Roethlisberger did it. Russell Wilson did it. Dan Marino did it. Colin Kaepernick did it. There's a range between the GOAT and Cap. And I'm not saying he's going to be Cap. I'm not saying he's going to be the GOAT. You will love to fall in between there, and all the other guys are Hall of Famers. But there's no certainty because what starts to happen is you get out of the phase of beginner's luck. And then all of a sudden you ain't got no luck, but you're still a beginner. Heller told me that. That was a deep one. Who wants to be a beginner without the luck, right? And it's crazy because, something in the beginning that they love you for is something at the end they'll hate you for. They'll set you up to say, man, in your second year, you made it to the Super Bowl. So every year after that, and you don't believe me, Marcellus, you're just throwing too many grand implications on it. Ask Patrick Mahomes how it feels right now to just go to a Super Bowl. Last year, went to a Super Bowl. That didn't work out. Now, he went to 4 straight AFC championship games, and we're like, no dynasty, regression. All I'm saying is this early success is amazing now, but it could turn around and flip on them.
It could, but the difference for me, Sel, is not in going to the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow has more to gain in winning the Super Bowl. I'm taking it that one step further.
Okay.
And because I look at it, if Joe Burrow's won a Super Bowl, all he has to do the rest of his career, win another Super Bowl, you're in the Hall of Fame. Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning. Okay, don't win another Super Bowl. Say you win this one, throw for a lot of yards. You're in the Hall of Fame, Drew Brees. Okay, say you win the Super Bowl and you don't throw for a lot of yards. Just keep on winning, Russell Wilson. As long as you get one, Joe Burrow, you have so many other ways to get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Because what winning a Super Bowl does, it gets you inside the door. Now you're inside the door, you just got to figure out if you're going to take the elevator, the escalator, or the stairs. But you're inside the complex. Now to get to the Hall of Fame room, you got many different options.
Yeah.
All these other guys, without winning the Super Bowl, Joe Burrow, you're on the outside. Stafford, what does he have to gain? That final cherry on top. You know, like, you could probably make an argument that Stafford would get into the Hall of Fame even if he doesn't win. I do think when Stafford's career ends, I think we'll look at Stafford in the same light as we look at Dan Marino. They both would have thrown for 5,000 yards over the course of the season, one of only 9 quarterbacks to do that. I'm telling you.
Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you. Did you just say Matthew Stafford and Dan Marino? Maybe because I'm living through Matthew Stafford. That ain't Dan Marino, and I lived through that too.
The reason I tell you is I think Stafford will be viewed as one of the most talented quarterbacks ever based on arm talent. Statistically, he'll fall in the same category in checklist.
Different era, but facts again.
A completely different era. That's the thing that will undermine Matthew Stafford. He'll be viewed as a generational talent, and they both went to a Super Bowl. Either way, Stafford getting this far, so I think he's okay.
I hear you.
But Joe Burrow, Joe, you're going to have to win yours because we don't know what else is going to come to pass. Stafford, we've already seen what has come to pass.
Chill. Cherry on top? No, we're talking about something much more of an impact, much more dramatic than that. Did you grow up around thrifties? Did y'all have thrifties around
stores?
Yeah, thrift stores, thrifties. Yeah, no?
Yes, not really, though.
Yeah, you had that money, huh? You weren't in the hood like that.
We didn't get money at first.
Okay. Well, thrifties used to have dime ice cream. Then it went up to a quarter and phased me out. But dime ice cream, I was up at thrifties going ham. And then one day I walk in there, I used to always get the same thing. I would get my vanilla, I would get strawberry, and I'd get rainbow sherbet. You know what I'm saying? I just sitting there, I tear it up, triple scoop, little fat boy, right? Then one day I walk in there, you know, I got dimes on me, and I look, and they had vanilla, and behind it, they had cherry vanilla. You ever had cherry vanilla? Oh, it's my favorite now. Cherry vanilla is not cherry on top of vanilla ice cream. It's cherries infused in all that ice cream and changing entirely what that ice cream was. That's what Matthew Stafford about to do in one game. Not cherry on top of vanilla.
That's real.
This is about to be... Oh, you remember when he was in Detroit? Oh, man, that organization, oh, that lack of running game, all that defense. Boy, if he wins the Super Bowl, perception. The same thing will be looked at differently. And it's the same thing. That resume that you talk about right now, you say Dan Marino-esque. Guess what? We ain't got to have the S on it if he wins the Super Bowl. It is Dan Marino's resume, but the cherry has now been infused on it. So look at the situation. Joe Burrow, respect. But this could go a lot of different ways. Just like you went from a 2-win team and your injury to now you're in the Super Bowl, respect for your swag. Going forward, though, it's been more of a setup for a lot of guys who couldn't continue at that pace rather than something that they springboarded from. Staying with the NFL, Terry Bradshaw still has plenty of money to give away, so Fox Bet Super 6 is running Stack the Cash one more time. Last 2 jackpots surpassed $325,000, and they want you to make this one even bigger. Scan the QR code, download the Super 6 app, enter your picks in the Super Bowl contest for your chance at the growing jackpot. Invite your friends, too, because the more people who enter, the bigger the jackpot gets. Coming up, Jim Harbaugh is not leaving Michigan for Minnesota. We'll tell you if we have an issue with how the Vikings handled their head coaching job. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. Ice cream. Harbaugh is not coming back to the NFL. For now, at least. He informed Michigan he'll be returning for next season. Report says he was planning to be hired by the Vikings during his meeting yesterday, but Minnesota did not bring him in with the notion that the job was his and did not make an offer. Now, the report says the Vikings will hire Rams offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell after the Super Bowl. Acho, you have an issue with how the Vikings handled their head coaching job?
I don't have an issue with how the Vikings handled their head coaching search. I got an issue with how everybody got handled by the Vikings. Jim Harbaugh got played.
Yes.
First and foremost. Jim Harbaugh, you are a Michigan man through and through. You have Michigan, you take them to their best season in the last 20 years. And the season ranked number 2 or number 3 in college football. Jim Harbaugh, show them the love that you have now built up. They love you so much based on the season. Return that to them. Now you sniffing around for a job you don't even get. So now you look foolish. But so here's who I really take issue with. The Vikings are allegedly hiring Rams offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell. What kind of madness, Kevin O'Connell? You go into a Super Bowl. You should be eyes all in, locked in on the prize. And I know you and I might differ here.
You already know I'm over here.
I'm so heated if I'm a Rams player. And as a person who lives in L.A. and is supposed to be a Rams fan, I'm sitting here looking like you got one job, one opportunity, one moment. Focus on winning the Super Bowl, and you're out here auditioning and interviewing for other positions. You can get a head coaching job at 35 years of age after the Super Bowl. You can get one next year when you're not necessarily going to win a Super Bowl, and you got a Super Bowl up for grabs, and you looking at other jobs. Imagine for 1 second, y'all, if Odell Beckham came out and was allegedly going to sign with the Green Bay Packers next year. We would be looking like, wait, Odell, you still got a Super Bowl to play in, and you are now allegedly going to go sign on another team, and we're talking about that? Great point. Devote all of your attention, all your effort, all your preparation, and all your energy into the here and now. I don't have an issue with the Minnesota Vikings. I got an issue with everybody that got played by the Vikings because Harbaugh got played and the Rams are getting played. Kevin O'Connell getting a job. But the Rams, y'all have one opportunity. Y'all went to the Super Bowl in 2018 and lost and got embarrassed on offense. A Super Bowl record low 3 points. Brian Flores, Patriots defensive coordinator, held the Rams to those 3 points. How in God's name would you, now that you're back into the Super Bowl, going to let your offensive coordinator be distracted by a personal opportunity, which he could go try to achieve later? That's what I really got an issue with.
Man, you squeezed under that umbrella of this conversation about the Vikings. We really were talking about the Rams the whole damn time. You ever have your boy holding the umbrella? But hey, man, scoot over. Let me get some of that. Oh, out here getting wet. Okay, I'm with you in this respect. I'm not mad at the Vikings for what they did. The onus is not on an employer to show all their cards face up during the hiring process. Sorry, I could play coy if I want to. Sorry, I have the power and the leverage in this conversation. But Jim Harbaugh, thought you were a little more savvy than this, homeboy. Bad timing, obviously, as you mentioned, with Michigan, and the commitment that you want these young men to make to you. You're wavering in that commitment to the program, it seemed like, as you're dating. This is like cheating in the same house because they can see it. Like, mama, daddy, get a hotel room or something like right here, right next to the kitchen. Like, it's crazy. Here's my biggest problem. Because I grew up fishing. I used to go to Paris, California out here. I'll take you one day, never. But I used to go fishing growing up. And I was a bad fisherman. Worm on the hook, halfway. Worm dead. You're supposed to still be moving so the fish ain't getting food, right? Oh. And I was a bad fisherman. Throw it in there, and I would catch a fish here and there. But Jim Harbaugh, you got to be smarter than that to take this bait. Like a 9-hour interview, and they didn't even offer you the job, and find out they never were going to offer you the job. Talk about getting played. Talk about, dog, I thought the fish are smarter than that. You go fishing now, that worm got to be moving. It got to be fluorescent. No hook, like all this stuff. And Jim Harbaugh, just took a bite of something that wasn't even there. Crazy. But now I got to get you. Let's talk for real. Don't you come up here and be no analyst. Don't come up here and be no broadcaster. I need your full focus and attention on the game.
I do, big dog. I need it.
First of all, maybe for a player, and even that's not 24/7. You got to get away just so you can go out there and play.
But there's a difference between getting away, going out the house, and going to a club and talking to somebody else.
But what's the
Kevin O'Connell, if you need to get away from the Rams and just go out to eat, go to your favorite restaurant, which ain't even open no more. Remember trying to tell the whole show 2 months ago, this is my favorite restaurant.
Baboon?
During commercial
Open
break.
up, Baboon.
It don't even exist. Go get a break.
Yeah.
But I don't need you to go start flirting with other teams, Sal. Come on, big
Come
dog.
on, man. I mean, look, first of all this technology and Zoom, you got your handlers handling that, your agent, whatever it be. You can be a lot of places right now and not even move from where you are. Being real. Two, I don't like that take for a player. I don't like when players come on, I'm first one in, last one out, and all I do is eat, sleep, football. No, you don't, you liar. Let me tell you why. 2 reasons. One, if you're going to lift weights, remember you in the weight room at UT, casually, you lift weights. You tear down your muscles.
Yes, sir.
Right? And how do they get bigger? Once you rest, they recover stronger.
Okay.
Okay? It's a cycle. So I hate when people always talk about work. I'm grinding out here, big dog. Oh, big dog, ain't enough time in the day. Do you know the richest and the poorest, the most successful and the laziest all have the same amount of time in their bank account, 24 hours per day? I got to cut you on this one. It's called focus. And you gave them that old school focus, like I was an old fisherman. Old school focus was put one dot on the wall and stare at it. Football, Super Bowl. New school focus is put 1,000,000 dots on the wall and know which ones to prioritize. Know which ones to give attention to. No matter who you are, you still got a wife. No matter who you are this week, you still got significant others. No matter who you are, you still got kids. No matter who you are, Andrew Whitworth, you think he's about to say, all right, y'all, don't talk to me for 2 weeks. No, you still are going to have a balance. So all I'm saying is, Mr. O'Connell, I respect your balance, and I respect that if I were on your team, I'd be excited for my offensive coordinator. Let's go out for him and go out there and ball while we know he's going to trampoline to bigger and better things.
You know this quote, and I think to some degree you abide by this quote. Be where your feet are.
Damn it. Yeah.
Be where your feet are. You're supposed to be in the Super Bowl, Kevin O'Connell, offensive coordinator. Be where your feet are. Only reason you are on the way up isn't even because of you. Sean McVay.
Oh, don't do that.
He was in the Super Bowl with a great offense before you showed up. Matthew Stafford showed up and been balling. So, Kevin O'Connell, you riding the coattails of Sean McVay to another head coaching opportunity. Meanwhile, y'all are in a Super Bowl and have a Super Bowl opportunity. To me, Sal, it's not only disrespectful, it undermines the work that this team has put in. I feel you. You can't just exclusively be focused on football. I can't exclusively be focused on this show. You can't exclusively be focused on this show. You have other responsibilities. But it's one thing if you focused on football and you focused on golf. I mean, those are two competing interests now, Sales. If Kevin O'Connell is focused on the Rams job and focused on the Vikings job, two competing interests. I don't got an issue with the Vikings. Vikings is selfishly acting in the best interest of the Vikings. But y'all can't be out here getting played by the Vikings because right now the Rams are out here getting played because Kevin O'Connell's like, win or lose this Super Bowl, I'm going to move on up like the Jeffersons. But the Rams win or lose this Super Bowl, they stuck with that loss. Kevin O'Connell going to be in Minnesota the next day.
Who are the Rams playing?
Cincinnati Bengals, sir.
Who's the head coach?
Zach Taylor, sir.
Sean McVay, Zach Taylor. Anybody? Oh, used to work for Sean McVay. Worked out for Zach Taylor, didn't it? Why can't work out for Mr. O'Connell? Why you hating on that man? And don't hate the player, don't hate the coach. Hate the game. This is how you do it. Postseason, hey, interview process, just because of the timing. Hey, this organization, we got to continue to roll forward. We got to continue to fill slots, whether it's through the roster or through our head coach. We need a visionary. We need a leader. It's okay. He's not the first coach to do this. And trust me, I don't think it undermines his efforts one bit in terms of what his focus is for this game. Would you admit that at least? You know he's going to be all in for the Super Bowl, right? What did he rob the Rams of? Do you think he didn't watch film because, wow, they're talking about hiring me over in Minnesota?
I just think, Sel, if you are in this position, you got to do everything you can do to make sure you get exactly what you want to get. I think I've told you the story. If not, it's story time. My senior year in high school, I was going for the discus record for the state discus record. Your boy threw shot put, not through discus.
Little fat boy back then. Huh?
Nah, I was still slim, but your boy, it's all about levers and discus.
Okay.
It's all about levers and torque.
Right.
I threw my first throw, 177 feet. That would have been good for like 6th in the state of Texas. So that's fine.
Nice.
But now I've already won the meet. I'm going for the record.
Okay.
The record for the conference I was in was 182 feet. My next throw, 180 feet. Next throw, 170 feet, 170 feet. My last throw, 185 feet. But I scratch. The attendant, I forget what they're called now, she looks at me, she's like, baby, like, you know, if you wouldn't have scratched, you would have broke the record. For the next 5 or 6 years, I haven't picked up a discus since. Why? Because I couldn't fall asleep that night. Up watching Netflix, up watching movies, up doing something stupid. And I only thought to myself, maybe it was that little bit of rest that caused me to scratch and not break the record. I say that to say, Kevin O'Connell, when you interview for the Vikings head coaching position, you got to tell him what you're going to do with Kirk Cousins. What's your plan for Kirk Cousins? What's your plan for Dalvin Cook? What's your plan defensively for Anthony Barr? What's your plan for Eric Kendricks? What's your plan for an aging Harrison Smith? What's your plan? You had to spend time devising a plan for the Vikings. But what about the plan you got to devise to defeat the Bengals? Whatever it is, if the Rams end up losing or having another poor offensive performance, I'm going to be looking sideways at Kevin O'Connell because while you could have been prepping for the Bengals, you was prepping for a Vikings job.
Woo! I want to retort to that, but that was a great story right there. But preparation can get to a point where it's also counterproductive, right? Like you have some paralysis by analysis because you're just sitting there staring. Sean McVay talked about that in his first Super Bowl. Said he actually overprepared. We'll see this Super Bowl. Coming up, we have more Super Bowl talk. Did the Rams actually catch a break facing the Bengals and not the Chiefs? Wow. We'll answer that next on Speak for Yourself. We're inching closer to the Super Bowl with the Rams and Bengals, but not the Chiefs. The LA Times posed the question, quote, did the Rams catch a break facing the Bengals and not the Chiefs? With one writer adding, quote, seems like the stars are lining up for the Rams to win this whole thing. Got to bring in Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings. But Acho, did the Rams catch a break facing the Bengals over the Chiefs?
Greg, you good, bro?
I'm sweating over here.
I'm about to say,
come on, man.
You look like Pookie.
Come on, man.
You all right? I'm struggling to get on set.
Give me my turkey.
I'm trying to get set up.
Give me my turkey.
Look, Greg looked like this Rams defense is about to look, man, after a couple quarters. The Rams did not catch a break. On paper, the Rams got a better everything. Rams have a better receiving core in my mind, and I understand Jamar Chase and I understand T. Higgins, but the Rams got a better receiving core in my mind. Rams got a better defensive line. Rams have Jalen Ramsey. Rams have a better coach. Rams have a better offensive line. Rams have a better everything, but the Rams do not have Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow is the trump card. In the game of spades, Joe Burrow is the big joker. In the game of blackjack, Joe Burrow is the 21. The Rams do not have Joe Burrow, and sometimes Joe Burrow is both all you got and all you need. Rams didn't catch a break, and I can't bet against Joe Burrow. I think what we are witnessing is a transcendent talent. We just can't classify him as transcendent yet because we haven't seen him transcend. But once he transcends, and we will see that come Super Bowl Sunday, then I think we will finally realize, we're witnessing greatness in Joe Burrow. It might appear on paper that the Rams caught a break because the Bengals' offensive line is weak. The Rams' pass rush is strong. The Bengals have an elite wide receiver in Jamar Chase. But the Rams have an elite defensive back in Jalen Ramsey. Everywhere the Bengals are weak, the Rams are actually strong. However, when you got that guy number 9 back there, it does not matter at what level of ball, he is good enough to take care of everything else. So the Rams did not catch a break. However, they do on paper look significantly better.
I agree with you. They didn't catch a break. Be careful playing with the scheduling gods and the opponent gods. Like, this team looks lesser. Really? Okay. Well, one, somebody in the locker room needs to say, hey, didn't they just beat the team? We thought that was better. So there goes that logic if we're going to go there. But also, it's crazy because I don't know. I wasn't in the Chiefs locker room. Maybe they were thinking, hey, we get to play the Bengals and not the Titans, even though the Bengals beat us and the Titans beat us, but the Titans were the number 1 seed. How did that work out for the Chiefs? Just be careful about thinking about who you're getting and just play up to your level. Look forward, not backward. So I look at this situation. Acho, I think you're putting a little too much sauce on the whole. On Joe, you already know what I'm talking about. Joe Burrow, look, we don't know what he's in the making of. We know that he's off to a fast start, and this is amazing, but let's not undermine the other side of the ball. Let's not look at the other side of the ball and not give them their props as well. Because, in the playoffs, there's been a drop in production from Joe Burrow. Obviously, you would say you're playing against better teams, but there's been a drop in production. And what has been coincidental with that drop in production is the defense has been opportunistic, showing up at the right times. Kind of like Tom Brady last year. Remember that? Tom Brady didn't have the best postseason by his standards, but that defense was getting key takeaways. So look, all 3 games of Burrow in the playoffs against Carr, against Tannehill, and Mahomes. Guess what the last throw from those quarterbacks was? An interception. Interesting. Like every one of them. And those were contentious ball games. Like, oh, how's this going to play out? And that defense said, we'll show you how it plays out. Now, Joe Burrow's going to get all the credit because he's Joe Burrow. He's the quarterback. But I just want y'all to take notice of 2 things. One, last year, Tom Brady ended up winning it all, but not playing necessarily his best ball down the stretch, to your point, Acho, about Joe Burrow. But 2, those same Buccaneers had to play the Saints. And I'm sure the Saints was like, oh, we got to play the Bucs again? We already beat them twice, spanked them, and we get to see them coming. Be careful with those catch-a-break scheduling opponent gods because they'll come back to bite you.
Yeah, I hear you, Marcellus. I'm all in with what Acho is delivering today so far. It all boils down to Joe Burrow for me. And so when you ask the question, did the Rams catch a break? No. This is a Super Bowl-bound team because of the play of their quarterback, because of the play of the most important position on the field. And when he is on the field and when Matthew Stafford is on the field and they both are playing quarterback for their respective teams, he is the better of the 2. And when you have the trump card, all the things that you mentioned, Acho, when you have a guy like Joe Burrow, you believe that you have the better chance and the opportunity to do something special. And that's what Cincinnati Bengals are going in there with. They're a young team. I get it. Inexperience. All these things can be said. I remember when everybody was talking about us in Green Bay. They're inexperienced going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have all these players. They could potentially form a dynasty. All the things, right? But what mattered most is that we believed in who we were and what we had in that locker room. And that's the Cincinnati Bengals right now. They believe in that man right there, Joe Burrow. They believe that he can get them over any hurdle that is in front of them, and he has thus far. And I believe he potentially could do it again next weekend on Super Bowl Sunday.
Now, let's break this down, Greg Jennings, because so many fans are like, I don't want to hear all this Joe Burrow nonsense, too much hype. I had to go back and do some research this morning.
Okay.
Football is not a task-oriented activity. Football, in my mind, is a goal-oriented activity. I need to be better than Marcellus. I don't need to be better than my former self. I need to be better than Greg Jennings. I don't need to be better than I was yesterday. I got to be better than my opponent. Joe Burrow, though he has not been great in the playoffs, he has not been outplayed by another quarterback since December 5th, Justin Herbert. He's only been outplayed by 2 quarterbacks over the last 14 games. Y'all go back. You got to go back to October 10th. Aaron Rodgers. From October 10th to right here, right now, Joe Burrow has been outplayed twice by Mike White on October 31st, the backup quarterback for the Jets somehow, some way, and by Justin Herbert on December 5th. You all go do the research for yourself. What does that mean? It's highly unlikely that Matthew Stafford is going to outplay and outperform Joe Burrow. If Patrick Mahomes ain't do it, it's highly unlikely that on that Sunday, Matthew Stafford will outplay Joe Burrow. So now everybody else on the Rams got to play everybody else on the Bengals. But Joe Burrow is rarely outplayed himself. So while Joe Burrow might be worse in the playoffs than Joe Burrow was in the regular season, Joe Burrow is better than the other team's quarterback, and that's truly what matters on Sunday. What's up, Sal? Why you shaking your head?
I'm trying to take a trip to Cincinnati one time in my life. They gonna hate me out there because I just got to do my damn job. Oh, well, here we go. Who did Joe Burrow and the Bengals play in their first wild card game? They played against the Raiders, right? Up 7, 3 minutes left. Burrow and the offense can ice the game. Y'all keep telling me how Joe Burrow. Okay. They go 3 and out. Okay. Raiders drive all the way down the field to the 9, and then Carr throws an interception. Did Joe Burrow catch that? Oh, no, defense. Oh, okay. Joe Burrow, light up the stogie. Respect. Next game, Titans. Burrow, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Late in the game, chance to take the lead. Takes a bad sack, minus 10 yards punt. Okay. Go defense. Playing against the Chiefs. Defense. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me finish that game. Defense intercepts Tannehill. and they're driving to win the game. We know what Tannehill did. Did Joe Burrow catch that? Nope. Defense. Light up a stogie. Go Joe Burrow. Next game, Chiefs. Oh, Burrow in the fourth quarter and the overtime. 40 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and another dropped in the fourth quarter and overtime. All 3 games, I said before, were ended by the defense. All 3 games that could have been iced by Joe Burrow, who I respect, who I think is amazing. Second year in the Super Bowl. Yeah. But y'all, man, too much sauce. That defense is sitting there like, I'm not going to undermine Joe Burrow because he's amazing. He's the reason we're here. But in the postseason, yoo-hoo, we've been here as well. So if you look at this situation, and I got to get some shout out, some love to my boy Tunes at B Inspector Q on Twitter. See, I believe in the wisdom of the crowd. People will inform me on these situations. He broke that thing down. All I'm saying is, don't y'all hate it when y'all on a team and somebody over there getting a little too much shine? Like, I admit it. I'm not the jealous type, but I'm like, yo, just spread the shine around because this defense has been opportunistic. This defense has been there to save the day. And if you really want to dive into it and watch these games, the defense has kind of been there to save Joe Burrow from Joe Burrow. Anybody?
And that's why they're in the Super Bowl, because they are a good team.
Yeah.
The best in the AFC.
I love
So
team.
for me, it's not just about Joe Burrow, but when we talk about the Rams and are they catching a break, the first player that comes to mind is Joe Burrow. Why? Because if you unplug him, they're not here.
Facts.
That defense is great, but they're not here without Joe Burrow at quarterback. And so you have to put more shine and more light on his play, whether it has been excellent or whether it has been poor. Because if they win, we're going to highlight Joe Burrow. If they lose, we're going to point at Joe Burrow. So right now, when you think about the Rams and their possibility of being able to play either Patrick Mahomes versus Joe Burrow, you look at all the hype that comes with Patrick Mahomes and that Kansas City Chiefs defense and offense. And it's like, oh, man, yes, we did possibly catch a break. But then you really start to watch the film. And you think about all the weapons that Acho just laid out when he had his first round, about the Jamar Chase, the Joe Mixons, and then that defense that you're talking about that did help them win some of those games, that has been just as opportunistic as any other defense in the league. They play well together as a team and when it matters most, particularly in the second half. When I need you to step up, will you and can you and are you? And they have done all of that. And a large part of that credit and leadership weighs on the shoulders of Joe Burrow. That's why he's not getting enough shine, if you ask me. He can get even more. I wish I had my cigar, my premium, that he sent me a couple days ago. I just pop it in my mouth, but I don't right now.
Y'all welcome. I hear y'all agreeing with me. I hear y'all understanding that this is a team and Joe Burrow's leading this team, but Joe Burrow in the postseason just a little off the fastball, as they say. Remember those 4 games down the stretch where they won to get into this position? 135 passer rating. In the playoffs, 96. Hey, tougher teams. 11 touchdowns, no interceptions in those 4 last regular season games. Just 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Hey, second-year player, go get him, Joe Burrow. All I want y'all to focus in on is when Joe Burrow's out there, just look to the sideline sometimes and give some love, shine some light on that opportunistic
no doubt about it. His
defense.
parents did have to birth him.
Coming up, I like his pops too. Hue Jackson and Brian Flores made tanking allegations against the Browns and Dolphins. Tell you how serious the whole situation is. Next on Speak for Yourself. Let's get back to our top story. Former Browns head coach Hue Jackson has accused the team of having a 4-year plan to incentivize him to lose games back in the 2016 and 2017 seasons. This follows former Dolphins head coach Brian Flores' claim in his lawsuit that said Miami's owner Stephen Ross attempted to incentivize him to lose games on purpose and even offered $100,000 per loss back in 2019. The Dolphins and Browns have both denied the claims. Greg is back with us. So, Greg, how serious are Hue Jackson and Brian Flores' tanking allegations?
Well, they're very serious, and the league has to take them as serious as they're getting it across their desks. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at, let's just focus on Brian Flores, because this is why he set the fire. He's the fire starter, if you will. When when you set out to make this type of allegation, you already know the potential backlash that's going to come with it. You're not going to just say all of these things without feeling as though you have a proven and valid case. So when you think and consider all of that, just that, Brian Flores is a smart man. He's not going to make these allegations against the National Football League and Stephen Ross in thinking that, you know what, this is just going to blow over. No, he's not going to allow this to blow over. It's not going to be that easy for the National Football League to do so, I believe, because Brian Flores is not going to allow that to be the case, because he is putting his career on the line. He spoke it. He said, if this foregoes me ever coaching the game that I love at this level, then so be it. He understands what's at stake here. You don't do all of that and understand all of that and allow someone who you're going after to just push it out or just sweep it under the rug. That is not going to happen. The league has to take this serious, and they must take it serious.
Yes, it's huge. It's a huge deal, and you cannot overstate that. If these allegations are true, it undermines the integrity of the game. And this is the greatest game in America. It undermines the integrity of a game in which owns one day of the week. It undermines the integrity of the game, a game in which dethroned church. Come on, Marcel. Let's not football dethroned church.
Took it.
It undermines the integrity. Why? Because the NFL is based off any given Sunday. You can win if you step on the field and you give it your all. The NFL is supposed to be the ultimate meritocracy. The harder you work, the more you put in, the more you will get out. Well, this week, that meritocracy is starting to be undressed one button at a time. First, it was undressed with the lack of opportunities for coaches. Wait a second. So coaches aren't getting a fair shake based upon race, starting to undress that top button. Now it's starting to be undressed based upon ownership offering coaches to tank, to lose in order to get higher draft picks. We're starting to undress that second button. The NFL's integrity, the NFL's parity, the NFL's meritocracy is being undressed one button at a time, and it is starting to unravel this week. If you do not put a stop to the fire, eventually the fire will burn down the entirety of the village. And the NFL's village is starting to get set ablaze. So they got to put a stop to this somehow, some way. Why is it such a big deal? Let's talk about it in real terms.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Bengals were 2-14 2 years ago. Worst team in the football. If I'm the owner, I would have been like, yo, let's go ahead and tank. Okay, next year you have 6 wins. If you're 2-14, then you win 6 games, there is no way you are going to win the Super Bowl. Literally. Historically speaking, no team in the NFL has gone from 2 wins or less, 6 wins or less into a Super Bowl. So going into this season, why not tank? Patrick Mahomes is great. Herbert is great. Lamar Jackson is great. Why not just go ahead and tank and let's build up for 2023? If the Bengals owner would have incentivized Zach Taylor to tank and Zach Taylor obliged, we, a football fan, a football community, would have been robbed the best or the second best team in football. So you cannot allow tanking because it undermines the integrity of the game. It ruins the ecosystem of the sport. The higher the quality of the product, the more money of the product, the more money, the more the owners get paid, the more the coaches get paid, and everything works accordingly. If these allegations are true, all of football's integrity is now compromised.
Okay. All right. Let's get into it. If it's true, then what is true? We already admitted, at least 3 former players up here can admit, that there's no such thing as tanking on the field. There's never been marching orders on the football field between the white lines to go out there and give it 99%. Raise your hand if you ever gave it 99% by marching orders. Exactly. So when we say tanking, let's not just hide behind the trigger word of tanking, but what does it really mean? Philosophically upstairs, the organization is not doing its best to draft and roster construction. Okay, maybe on the sidelines, coach is not calling the game properly or up to his own standard. But full-out tanking allegations, be careful how far we say that they're damning, because when the rubber meets the road, it's not really going anywhere. All that said, these allegations are hits to the NFL's brand and hits to the NFL's shield. And you know the NFL always says we are going to protect the shield. In this situation, what they're trying to protect is perception. It's trying to protect the competitiveness and the integrity of the game, which is the fabric of the game, which we all buy into, which every fan buys into, which every player buys into, that everyone's out there trying their best and trying to get it with their muscles. Whenever you think that, I don't know if that's all in, all of a sudden you compromise what that product looks like. Let's just also, since Greg is here, I really want to know, these two allegations are not the same. Like Brian Flores, okay, first of all, let me just tell y'all in real life. You come up to me with any allegation, any accusation, I am going to recite to you the law. I'm going to recite to you the way that the American judicial system works. Innocent until proven guilty. Now, in a civil class action lawsuit, preponderance of evidence, I give you that. Brian Flores, 58 pages, detailed. He talks about a conversation. So I don't know what receipts we have. Do we have a voice recording, et cetera? The conversation went like this, quote, take a flight, go on vacation. I'll give you $100,000 per loss. According to Brian Flores, that's what was said from Stephen Ross. Two things. One, did he actually say it and really mean it? Was he being with a tongue in cheek, facetious, anything like that? And two, do you have receipts, voice recording of that? Interesting. But I take that one a lot more seriously than this one. Hue Jackson comes up there and says, well, we had a 4-year plan. And they didn't even talk about winning and losing until the year 3 or 4. I immediately push back and say, well, that sounds like the first 2 years were mulligans. The first 2 years, whatever you do, we give you a pass, figure it out, and then we'll talk about what is really working and what's not. On its surface, it's going to be a lot for them to prove that the integrity in its entirety was compromised. Y'all know what that means on the field, and we've never dealt with it in our careers. So to prove that, to me, it's going to be an uphill climb.
It is going to be an uphill climb, but we're talking about, the NFL and Acho, you mentioned it undermining the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
Well, Brian Flores, the reason why he has put this out there is because he feels like his integrity was challenged. You were asking me to set my integrity and character as a competitor, as a leader, to the side and not inform those who are working diligently and hard. We heard him talk this week, putting all this work in. You're asking me to disregard all of that, and he couldn't do that. So it's far beyond just that the fabric of the game is being touched or being stained. It is the man that is in the middle that is saying, look, forget the game. He was challenging me. He wanted me to forego who I am to the core. And that is why when you have something like this, you have to take it serious. You must do your due diligence, receipts or not, to inform the public and those who pour all their funds trying to come to these games and assure them that, you know what, this is not what we stand for. This is not who we are as a league as a whole. And we put a stop to it, however that deems to be necessary. So it's not going to go anywhere because of how Brian Flores is looking at it. And yes, it puts a black eye and a black stain on the National Football League.
Yeah, obviously. In perception, certainly, because if we can now just perceive moments where we're saying, you remember when the Dallas Cowboys were under fire for not running to the football? Remember that? And imagine this story's out and you're watching your team not run to the football. You start to say, wait a minute, I am digesting what I'm watching right now a lot differently. So I think the impact has already been felt even before we get a verdict on this lawsuit, because the perception certainly has taken a dent. But I do know that since I've never been a part of tanking in terms of my efforts, and since a coach who said he was asked to tank never cooperated with it, I wonder, where does this really go in terms of allegations and the owner? I don't know his mindset. I don't know the spirit in which he said it. But if he's loosely saying, hey, I'll give you $100,000 if you don't win these games, because, boy, I want that next quarterback. Is that the same as, okay, now we're going to really take it to the next level? Because we've all been on the field before, practice, playing, and be like, dog, go get that. I'll hook you up. I wonder where it's all going to go in terms of materializing. Because right now, the allegations are damning, but I just don't see how it hits the field or as it hit the field so far. Coming up, Joe Burrow is headed to the Super Bowl in only his second season. Jealous. So is he already a top 5 quarterback? We'll answer that at the big board. Next on Speak for Yourself. The Bengals were 2-14 before drafting Joe Burrow. And 2 years later, their quarterback has the franchise in their first Super Bowl in 33 years. Burrow has beaten the Chiefs twice this year and knocked off the top-seeded Titans. So, Acho, is Joe Burrow already a top 5?
We got a new off-camera quarterback.
Oh, look at that thing. You've caught this thing.
The backup quarterback did a great job right there. Shout out to Heller. Top 5. Is Joe Burrow already top 5? He absolutely is. I came up here and I argued with you and Mark Sanchez just 2 weeks ago, and I said that Joe Burrow was going to be top 5, and he's now proven his exact place. So can we go through the list, please? I got Aaron Rodgers as my big dog. That's my number 1. Aaron Rodgers is a guy. He's an MVP last year, a likely MVP this year. So Aaron Rodgers is my big dog. Patrick Mahomes, because of equity and talent. This is a talent and equity conversation.
Oh, it is.
Talent, we know how skilled you are. Equity, how skilled have you proven yourself to be? How much merit do you deserve based on your history? Mahomes, my big dog, number 2. Joe Burrow's the 3rd best quarterback in the National Football League to me because talent and equity.
Wake up.
You got a Super Bowl champ here.
Wake up.
You got a Super Bowl champ here. Fourth place, Josh Allen. Josh Allen has no Super Bowl, but he is clearly talented. More physically talented than Joe Burrow, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Last, I got Russell Wilson solely because of large part equity, and clearly Russell Wilson is still talented.
Yeah.
But now we got to box a little bit.
What we got to do? What we got to do?
What I'm done doing for the rest of my analytical career on television, what I am done doing is only seeing what the eyes can see.
Okay.
I'm done saying, well, Josh Allen is bigger than Joe Burrow. Well, Josh Allen is stronger than Joe Burrow. Well, Josh Allen is faster than Joe Burrow. Well, Josh Allen has more yards than Joe Burrow passing. I want to know, what do you do that makes everybody around you better? Because clearly it's something.
Oh, it's something.
To go from a 2-win team to a Super Bowl contending team, a Super Bowl arriving team, that's something that I can't find in a box score, something I can't find in a stat sheet, something I can't find on a sheet of paper. So for that reason, Joe Burrow's number 3. If you're only thinking with the smaller mind analytically of a box score, well, clearly Joe Burrow might not be the best. But Sel, what I've stopped doing, big dog, I no longer look through the keyhole. I open up the door. And when you open up the door, you can see Joe Burrow.
Oh, okay. You done with your equity conversation in this housing market? What, you buying another house with all this equity and stuff? That list, woo, scrambled eggs up there. No, he's not a top 5 quarterback right now. You know why? Because when we did our quarterback rankings at the end of the season, Joe Burrow wasn't a top 5 quarterback for you then. So why is he now? Oh, because they're in the Super Bowl. They are in the Super Bowl. I just told you a couple blocks ago. Joe Burrow in each of these postseason games has been bailed out, if you must say.
God, I won't say it.
Okay, good, I will. By the defense, because each of the opposing quarterbacks' last throws were interceptions, driving, potentially winning, potentially tying those same games. Joe Burrow is not the same as he was in the regular season. His numbers have dropped. You know that, right?
Yes, of course.
And he's going against different competition. So if you're not top 5 before and your numbers get worse and your defense helps you out in opportune times, how are you now top 5? Let me give you my list and then let's get some arguing on. Number 5 is Matthew Stafford. It's not that hard. I mean, the arm cannon speaks for itself. Let's go to number 4, Patrick Mahomes. I got love for you, big dog, but you know what? It's not adding up just the same. This season was a little bit of a roller coaster ride, even though it's still high-level performance. Number 3 is Aaron Rodgers. I got Aaron Rodgers right there. Look, I keep giving him the number 1 seed. I keep saying that you can play at home, Aaron Rodgers. I keep seeing you in the postseason not exactly improve compared to your regular season efforts. Number 2, you already know. If I'm starting a franchise right now, number 2 is Justin Herbert. And trust me, I'm going to use up all the time on the clock to make this decision. And the number one, I don't know what the GOAT really going to do. He's
retired.
Okay, good.
You have a retired person on your list.
That's out of respect. I don't know. Look, I'm going to give him this year to take some time, hang with Giselle, do what he's going to do. But, hey, right behind him, if it's not the GOAT, that's why I put my man. Josh Allen proved to everyone watching that coin flip game against the Kansas City Chiefs, that is the best quarterback in the NFL. If you look at these guys, I'm not getting into what Super Bowl appearances, Super Bowl titles, because that's a team award. I'm talking about put these guys in the same situation. Who's the best throwing that rock? Who's the best dealing with the arm talent and the arm cannon? Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, respect GOAT, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford. Let's argue.
Your list is completely undermined by having a retired individual on it.
Man, that's just out of respect.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on it. You have a list with 6 names
Brady gone.
and a retired name.
Brady gone.
Thank you.
That's what he said.
Here's the problem.
I don't believe it yet.
Your bias is showing, Self. Now your gut isn't. That's progress.
Yes!
First off, your gut was showing. Yeah. Now it's just your bias.
Let's see.
You played for the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, you stop.
You played for the Chargers.
And
the 2 best quarterbacks.
Do you see Dak up here? You see Trevor Lawrence? I played for 4 teams. You see Dak and Trevor Lawrence up here? Stop that, man.
They paid you the most, and they drafted you. Your bias is showing. This is one of the worst lists.
Seriously.
Only because of Herbert. Outside of Herbert.
Herbert's not top 5 in the NFL. Don't do that.
Not at all.
Let's go.
It amounts to nothing. It truly, all of Herbert's talent has amounted to a 7-win season and a 8 or 9-win season. Well, have him make his team better. Because Joe Burrow made his team better.
He did. I'll give you that.
Great by himself, but it's a team game.
Did you see the Raiders game?
Better.
Did you see the Raiders game? You're going to put that on Herbert. They lost that game, but golly, that was one of the best performances outside of what Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were out there dealing when they played each other in the divisional round. Seriously, this is how I look at the NFL in terms of if I have to go forward, which quarterbacks am I taking? Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is in a position with his age and if he's playing, not retiring, etc. But Josh Allen has the greatest skill set in our game, and now the performances are adding up to support that. Justin Herbert has set every record that you can name for the first couple years as a quarterback. As Joe Burrow. So then we got Aaron Rodgers. You would actually redraft that potentially. You don't imagine Justin Herbert in Cincinnati. Boy, stop playing with me right now. Aaron Rodgers, we understand his greatness, probably wins the MVP. Patrick Mahomes is the one who should be like Marcellus. Really? It's like that? I'm like, I got to see what next year looks like in response to the roller coaster ride this year. Matthew Stafford played himself into the top 5, obviously. Nobody has probably more arm talent.
Here's what I can't wrap my head around in regards to your list.
We got some of the same people. What are you mad at?
We do. The biggest difference is
I don't have Russell Wilson. I have Matthew Stafford. Oh, I'm wrong? You're wrong.
Here's why. First and foremost, this man has won a Super Bowl. First and foremost.
When you were still playing? You weren't even talking
He
then.
hasn't. But here's my biggest point of contention with your list is this. If you are not putting in Joe Burrow because of his team success, then how can you put in Matthew Stafford? Because Matthew Stafford has elevated his game because of his team success. You are penalizing him. You're penalizing Burrow for the same thing you're praising Stafford for. Explain yourself.
No, Matthew Stafford, first of all, these numbers, he looking at his Detroit numbers is like, damn, they're kind of suffering out here in L.A., but I do have more team success. Matthew Stafford, with the proper weapons around him, he had Calvin Johnson in the past. That's why he had even greater numbers. They didn't have the team success. This year, he has the numbers and the team success. That Matthew Stafford was already top 10 before this. Don't act like I grabbed Matthew Stafford from the bottom and put him up there. I want to point out this. You haven't explained yourself. He was not top 5 for you when the season ended. He has not performed as well as he did in the season. How does he move up?
I can explain that in very simple track
Make it right.
field terms. Here's how I'll explain it.
I'm listening.
In the last lap of a 400 meters, you and I's last lap, is your last lap going to be faster than your first lap?
My last lap in a 400?
Correct.
It's only one lap.
Excuse me, is your last
I win the argument. Coming up. What's up?
Is your last 100 meters in a 400 meters going to be faster?
Hell no.
Of course it's not.
No.
Because it gets tougher the
Yep.
further along you get.
It does get
Joe
tougher.
Burrow's
I respect that.
competition has gotten tougher further into the playoff race, like your 100 meters gets tougher further into the track and field race. But he's still outrunning the rest of the opponents.
So how come that's an issue when Aaron Rodgers gets into the postseason and then he doesn't play up to his level? We condemn him, lack of likability. But then when Joe Burrow doesn't play up to the same level, but the team supports him, then we all of a sudden ascend Joe Burrow. That's not uniform now.
Joe Burrow's still making it add up to wins and losses.
You're right. You're right.
That's all it is for
You're
me.
right. You're
Joe
right.
Burrow, I would be okay if you were like, give me Allen over Burrow. But they both played the Chiefs.
Okay.
And one team won and one team didn't. Now, maybe it was because of a coin toss. Maybe not. They both played the Chiefs. They both went into overtime. Only Burrow won that matchup.
Burrow, like, own him. And I got the deed, the title, bought it twice, beat him twice this year. We can both agree on one thing, though. Bad pick with Russell Wilson right there. Admit that. Come on. Coming up, you ain't thinking right. Bill Belichick lost in the playoffs, and Josh McDaniels is gone. We'll tell you if he's won his last Super Bowl. Next, on Speak for Yourself. You trying to level up with my goodies. Bill Belichick has 6 Super Bowl rings, and after missing the playoffs last year, he returned to the postseason. But he had an early exit, losing to the Bills. And he also lost his longtime offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, to the head coaching job in Las Vegas. So, Acho, has Bill Belichick won his last Super Bowl, man?
Absolutely. But I said this before the season. Bill Belichick's won his last Super Bowl in part because of Marcellus Wiley's number 1 quarterback in the National Football League, Josh Allen. If Josh Allen is indeed number 1, and at least he is I don't know the word, but we both agree. Maybe consensually. At least he is consensually top 5.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
At least he is consensually top 5. Then Bill Belichick is likely not going to win the AFC East in the foreseeable future. Not in my mind. I don't see Bill Belichick winning the East. I think Josh Allen and the Bills will continue to win the AFC East like they have done the last 2 years. That means Bill Belichick is now going to be a wild card team. I do not see Bill Belichick and Mac Jones traversing the road and the wild card path into a Super Bowl. I just do not see that happening. Also, keep this in mind. Bill Belichick, 69, 70 years old. Give him 5, maybe 10 more years of coaching.
Don't do this.
How many do you want to give him? You want to give him 15?
I don't want to give him anything. Let him get what he gets.
Get what
Ageism.
you get. Get what you get. Give him 5 more years. I assume Patrick Mahomes might get him another one. Joe Burrow, probably going to get him this one or maybe another one. Lamar Jackson, he'll probably have a shot at 1. Josh Allen, your guy, should have a shot at 1 or 2. I think they will all get their turn before Mac Jones comes around the carousel. I believe you win and lose based upon the quarterback. Clearly, the defense helps a tremendous amount, but the quarterback is the driving factor. Mac Jones, 6th, 7th best quarterback in the AFC. Herbert, Mahomes, Jackson, Allen,
Gotta do this.
Burrow,
Gotta do
and then
this.
you get to Mac Jones, and I'm surely skipping some names. We didn't even talk about Deshaun Watson, knowing he will come back.
Coming back.
So with that being said, if you have the 6th, 7th, or 8th best quarterback in the AFC, how do you envision yourself in the Super Bowl? I personally cannot see it happening.
Oh, man. You're a weatherman now, huh? You can see that far ahead. Not even a 10-day forecast. You just gave me, a 700-day forecast in the next couple of years? Matter of fact, where'd you go, 5 years? You went 5 years. If Belichick coaches 5 more years, you're saying he won't win another Super Bowl. Oh, my God. Let me disprove that. Acho, we've been doing the show for a year and a half now? Yeah, and in that year and a half, I never, ever heard you say that Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals were Super Bowl bound and so far. But they're here, right? Matter of fact, they only won 2 games a couple years ago, right? And they're here. Versus a team that's already in the postseason with a rookie quarterback, and you're saying there's no way that Mac Jones, the same Mac Jones who had a higher completion percentage than Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, who went out there and was 10-7 this year as a rookie. No way he's going to ascend like that. But Joe Burrow could take a 2-win franchise and do this. But you didn't predict that. So you maybe not going to predict Mac Jones. Also, let's talk about the fact that do you really have to be a Don Dada at the quarterback position to be in this game? Don't let this year just fool you, because I remember Joe Flacco in this same game. Your boy, Nick Foles, Jimmy G, Jared Goff. Remember those days? Like, Let's not do this where you got to be the best, because if you were the best, then Josh Allen needs to be in there. You got to be the best. Justin Herbert should at least be in the playoffs. Let's keep it real. It's about what's all surrounding you. And you know Bill Belichick, one thing he's going to give you is a top-level defense. And now you got an efficient quarterback. Bill Belichick went from 7 wins, and 4 of those were last possession, deep in the territory of winning those games. A year ago, this year, 10 wins. Don't you see the improvement? Maybe you didn't see Cincinnati coming. Maybe you don't see the Patriots coming.
I got 2 issues, though. The problem is, what's your ceiling? What is your ceiling? Mac Jones, what's your ceiling? We talk about Joe Flacco, and I'm going to pull it up as I am talking. But if you all recall Joe Flacco in the playoffs, he had 11 touchdowns, 1 interception, if I am not mistaken. But let me fact check myself. 11 touchdowns and 1 interception en route to winning that. If y'all recall Nick Foles in the playoffs, dude threw for 300 yards, Vikings, 300 yards, Falcons, 300 yards, Super Bowl against the Patriots, en route to winning that. Is Mac Jones capable of 3 consecutive performances, 11 touchdown, 1 pick? I'm not going to say he's not. I'm just simply going to say, based upon his analysis coming out of college, based upon the scheme in which he plays in the Patriots, based upon Josh McDaniels, who has been the one consistent factor in New England, no longer being in New England, I'm just not sure that I can see that from Mac Jones. Craziest thing about Nick Foles, which I've always said and I fervently believe in my heart of hearts, when Nick Foles plays his best, he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL if everybody were to play their best. If you say, hey, Acho, every quarterback is going to play the best game they are capable of playing. Give me Nick Foles in the top 5.
Yeah.
Along the likes of your boy Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, whatever the case may be. If Mac Jones plays his best, and everybody else plays their best, maybe top 20? So I just don't know that Mac Jones is going to be capable of taking Bill Belichick where he wants to.
You said top 20?
Everybody's the best.
What? Not enough firepower, you said?
I just don't think talent-wise.
Talent-wise?
Yeah.
It's interesting. What's more important to you? What's more impressive, yards or points?
Points.
Me too. Patriots had 7 wins by 18 or more points this season. Most in the NFL. Not just top 20 and they're 20. The most in the NFL. Boy, Mac Jones and the Patriots out there tilting with that defense. Second in points allowed. All I'm saying is, I know Tom Brady just retired, but damn, we trying to bury Bill Belichick with him. We know they attached at the hip, but not like that. Coming up, Jimmy G's days with the 49ers seem to be done. They over. So we'll tell you which team is the best fit for the quarterback next on Speak for Yourself. Put some respect on mac and cheese. Jimmy Garoppolo came close to making his second Super Bowl in 3 seasons, but the 49ers seem to be ready to move on to Trey Lance. The Bucs, Steelers, and Washington Commanders are the top 3 trade destinations for Jimmy G, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. So, Acho, the best fit for Jimmy G, homie?
This one is the easiest question of the day. The New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints, because what do we know about Jimmy G besides the fact that he can be good enough to win you games and can be good enough to get you there? We know this much to be absolutely certain. Jimmy G will get hurt over the course of a season. Right. Even this year, he messed up his thumb, got hurt over the course of a season. He had to miss a start, and then he had to play through the injury. So if we know Jimmy G is going to be hurt, what's the one organization we trust has a pinch hitter that can get you through 2 to 4 games as a quarterback? The Saints with Taysom Hill. So I want to go to New Orleans because they have a defense that we know is competent. Malcolm Jenkins in the back end, Marshawn Lattimore in the back end, Cameron Jordan in the front end, linebacker DeMario Davis. Albeit aging, they're all still good enough right now to get you through another good 1 to 2 years of solid ball. Jimmy G is a plug-and-play quarterback who, if you put him into an organization that has everything else surrounding it ready, he can take you into the playoffs and potentially far into the playoffs. Remember, the Saints this year were going into their last game of the season with an opportunity to make the playoffs. What did they need? They needed Jimmy G and the 49ers to lose, and the Saints were in. So the Saints were dependent upon Jimmy G to get into the playoffs this year, and it would behoove them to be dependent upon Jimmy G to get into the playoffs next year, but directly as opposed to indirectly. If Jimmy G goes to New Orleans, they already are good at the running back position with Kamara, good at the wide receiver position, assuming Michael Thomas can figure out the tension he has boiling over there. Defensively, I already told you, they have somebody at every level who's either a perennial All-Pro or a fringe Hall of Famer, good at every level on the defensive side of the ball. Get Jimmy G. Now you just need a head coach, plug and play, and you're good to go.
Yeah, Sean Payton is going to really so you got Jimmy G. Jameis Winston, anybody? Like, did you mention his name? Did you say Jameis Winston? Jimmy G in practice with Jameis Winston is like Odell Beckham in practice with Robert Woods. That's not a shot at either one, but boy, they're different. Like, right? Like, Jimmy G's not going to out-talent Jameis Winston in practice because you're not going to see all the interceptions in practice. Then you're going to get in the game and be like, damn, Jimmy G, go out there. I got a team that's better. Tell me. I was battling between the Broncos and the Steelers in terms of roster construction, and I landed on the Steelers because Mike Tomlin's like, I will not lose. I'm not having a losing season. Also, the youngest coach to ever win a Super Bowl. Boy, we better put some more respect on Mike Tomlin. Never lose a season. Youngest to ever get a ring. Go ahead, Mike Tomlin. But then he gets Jimmy G. And the thing about Jimmy G is you got to compare him not to what you want a quarterback to look like, but more importantly to the quarterback that was in that same position. 49ers found that out. Jimmy G helped the 49ers organization get back to this level of prominence. What about the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I got a question on your Steelers.
Better than Ben.
Don't you think Mike Tomlin would be utmost frustrated with this?
Yes.
You go from having the toughest quarterback maybe in the history of the NFL to the not weakest, but the most questionably tough quarterback. Like Ben Roethlisberger rarely ever missed time besides that one season with the elbow where he only played 2 games.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Jimmy G misses time every year. Don't you think that would – Mike Tomlin will look at Jimmy G like, man, I can't go from Big Ben and all his toughness to this dude.
The toughness is interesting. If you're hurt, you're hurt. If you're injured, you're injured. But if you just don't want it, and I think Jimmy G wants it. I think my only issue with someone who's hurt is do they want it? Because it's a combat sport, man, 100% injury rate. And I don't want him to go to New Orleans in a place where he can get them into the playoffs. Why not go to Pittsburgh? They're already in the playoffs. Like, a step further, roster, you got defense, you got what you need in the head coach, and you got my brother from another, TJ Wiley. Coming up, it's been all love between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick on social media. We'll tell you if we're buying it. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. What are you laughing at? Tom Brady did not mention Bill Belichick in his retirement post earlier this week, but his former head coach posted a statement yesterday calling him the, quote, best player in NFL history. Brady responded on Instagram writing, thank you, Coach Belichick. I appreciate being coached by you, the greatest coach in NFL history. And the confetti started to fall. So, Arthur, buying the love between Brady and Belichick now?
Nah, big dog. First and foremost, let me hear the vocal love before I see the written love. It's 2022. We all got access to cameras, camera phones, microphones, Zoom setups. I don't want to see all this little public tweeting and Instagram sharing and whatnot. If you're really going to profess it, go up in front of a camera and profess it. It's too much suspect action for me to buy this love, big dog. Talk to me.
Yeah, it's mop-up recovery duty. Clean up on aisle 12. We have affected our brands. Like, you built 20 years of your brand in one place. Give them a throwaway. Like, don't even mean it. A disingenuous, Patriots Nation on the initial statement. But now all this, Belichick on Twitter, you on Instagram. Belichick like my number ain't changed. I'm texting Brian Flores. I mean Dabo. It's going all over the place. Maybe it's a racism. I don't know what the hell it is. That's it for us. NASCAR Race Hub next.